Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. Happy New Year, everybody. It's Thursday, January 2nd, 2025, and we embark on a new year of disc golf. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, joined by Josh Mansfield. Josh, we've got plenty to talk about. It's been, technically we had a show last week, but we haven't sat down and recorded a show for almost, I guess, 2 whole weeks.
Yep.
Which for us is an eternity. I mean, it's very rare that we do not sit down and record something for 2 weeks.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, we go the occasional 1 week break, but that 2 weeks is not often. Not often.
What's weird is that it feels like it's like, okay, the season's about to start, but it's really like 2 more months until the season starts. Like I guess, let's see. Yeah, it's been like 2.5 months since the season ended, but we still have another 2 months to go. So we're only halfway through the off season. We're going to get the flurry of sponsorship news. We've got a bunch that came out yesterday and over the weekend. And then we're going to just be like waiting around again for a while.
Hey, we'll probably get some All-Stars drama with alternates and, people playing lefty. And
they haven't even announced the All-Star event.
I know.
Is there going to be an All-Star event?
That's a fair question. They did All-Star awards like for first, second, and third card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. I was like, oh, I want to check on registration for the first event of the year and just like see if there's anything interesting going on. There's no registration page for the first Pro Tour event, which is now the Discraft Supreme Flight Open. Chess.com is still sponsor, but they're not the title sponsor anymore.
It's too bad. I like chess.com Open.
I guess they're just going to have some like chess pieces out on the course again. I don't know. That was fun. But I wonder is the chess world also in recession right now?
I have no idea. All I know is there was news. I saw a video like Magnus Carlsen got booted from an event because he wore jeans.
Yeah, what was that all about?
Yeah, I guess there's a dress code that jeans are not like expressly prohibited. And he was like, I had an interview at lunch and they're like, we don't care. You have to go change. And he's like, no, it's the principle of the matter. I won't do it. I also saw a video. So this was a rapid chess, I think is what it was. So it was 3 minutes. He showed up to a match late. So they started his clock. So he sits down with 2 minutes left. He then adjusts his pieces for another 30 seconds, which he always does before he starts, and then plays and still wins. So, it's just, he's just too good and doesn't care anymore. So good for him. I'm happy for him to be in that stage of life.
There's some drama too. He's like Saudi money or something. I don't know, man. Like I can't. When will the Saudi money come for disc golf?
I will say, so Saudi money's now in esports. Team Falcons has a team in like basically every video game now, and they literally just went in and poached all the best players in every esport and paid a lot of money to do it.
Yep. I guarantee you the disc golfers would take the money.
Oh yeah. Who's the first one that takes the Saudi money for Live
Tour?
Golf? Yeah. Who's the first one that takes that money?
The first one?
Yeah, first one. Who's their face that
Who
jumps
do they go
over?
to first? Okay, so here's what would happen. They would go to Macbeth. And he'd be like, no.
Yes.
Just like Tiger.
Yep.
And then they would go to Ricky and he'd be like, yes.
Yeah, Ricky would totally, as long as it comes in Bitcoin.
I mean, it would be
totally.
I mean, and listen, I don't blame these guys for taking $750 million.
Sure.
To like secure their family's future into like, I get that there's like some moral quandary there, but I really don't blame the people who took the money.
Yeah.
I think it's like totally reasonable. A lot of people who didn't take the money already make so much money that they can afford to say no.
Exactly.
Anyway, who knows? The rumors are starting to swirl. There's a lot. We have heard some crazy rumors in the last couple of weeks. We still have like what's the final situation with Climo going to be?
Yeah.
Is he going to get his own brand? Does Discraft have something else cooking up? And like, there's maybe some questions now because of something we're going to talk about later, Big Germ. Like maybe he's going to go to Discraft. Maybe you're going to have some kind of like Legends brand. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. I will note Ezra Robinson posted a Instagram story earlier that is just a black screen that says today. So maybe we're going to find out Ezra Robinson. He and Isaac both confirmed over the weekend that they are not returning to Prodigy.
Yes.
Let's not be surprised by that. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. First things first, did you get any good disc golf presents this holiday season?
I don't think I did. I don't really. I got myself the new Vagabond pack from Pound.
Oh yeah.
That I keep in the back of my car now.
That's like your practice bag, like
yeah. It's my work bag actually. So I keep it in my car with a pair of tennis shoes. And so when I'm just like when I have some free time at work on a lunch break, then I just grab that bag. Because the problem is like the backpack will like kind of wrinkle my shirt sometimes.
Sure.
If I'm wearing like a polo or like. So like it's just that I can just like kind of sling on the side and it keeps my shirt a little bit cleaner. So I carry that. It's got 9 discs in it and a pair of tennis shoes in the side pocket, and then just goes with me wherever I go for work. So that was my disc golf present. I got a new golf bag from my parents for Christmas. So
nice.
Yeah, I needed my strap broke on that. So Pound, make a golf bag.
Pound golf bag.
I'd buy one of those too.
They make a lot of bags.
They do make a lot of bags.
They have bags people don't even realize. I don't know if you can still get 50% off on the beverage carrier bags, but that I have one of those and I love it.
Yeah, me too.
That's awesome. All right.
Yeah, what about you?
My disc golf present was selling all the mystery boxes and getting them out the door.
Was that your present or was that your wife's present?
That was for sure more of a present for my wife. But I have very few discs left.
Good.
I have one disc that I did not put in a mystery box. This is a first run regrind yarn, and I imagine somebody wants it. So email me upshot@ultiworld.com if you want it, and we will work something out. Otherwise, no. It was like a family year, a lot of family time.
Yeah.
Gifts, like not a heavy focus. Although Lewis got an insane amount of stuff, but
of course. Oh, geez.
What can you do? I'm overrun.
Gosh, yes. Holy smokes! Family members who haven't gotten me gifts in 10 years got Ollie gifts.
Oh yeah,
holy smokes!
Yeah,
we have so much crap now.
All right. Well, let's dig in. The big news, and this is pretty much always a January 1st tradition. Team Innova announced, and we got to back up and do some stuff from earlier. But I want to start with Team Innova. Just because they have so many sponsored players, there's always, somebody who's like a big surprise addition, surprise departures, and that is certainly true this year. Full tour team announced. I'll read the full list, and then we'll talk about the departures and arrivals. So, Star Team, this is their highest level of sponsorship. Bradley Williams, Calvin Heimberg, Evelina Salonen, Garrett Gerthy, Greg Barsby, Henna Blumroos, Jen Allen, Jessica Weiss, Juliana Corver, Kat Murch, Nate Sexton, Owen Scoggins, and Philo Brathwaite. Team champion is Dennis Augustin, Emily Weatherman, hello, Holly Finley, Una Heinonen, Kevin Jones is back, Rasmus Salkoripi, Sophia Donike, and Vino Makala. So the only addition here is Emily Weatherman, DGPT Rookie of the Year, got the win last season, obviously a very promising up-and-coming FPO player. But the departures, the bigger news, and maybe if you're listening closely, Josh,
before you hit departures, there is something I want to highlight here. I had question marks that I figured was going to be the case, but the Kevin Jones, Vino Makala coming back, I think is notable, right?
Makala was on a big contract already. Like when they announced it, it was like a 4-year or something.
That's right. Okay, he did sign a big one.
But Kevin Jones was on an expiring.
Yes. So the mid-season move, it definitely was one that it was a question mark, because was it just a short-term landing place? You assume not, but the Kevin Jones does announce on December 31st that he's coming back to Innova. That was one of the things I was looking for. Didn't see a multi-year announcement though, so it seems like Kev might be on the year-to-year like a lot of these players are.
Historically, Innova has announced when they've done multi-year deals. The fact that none of them were announced as multi-year deals makes me think they're on 1 years, and Innova's clearly taking a more cautious approach this season. They dropped a bunch of players,
which is what you were about to get to.
And of note, of course, we got to start with the big one, and certainly the most surprising, Jeremy Colling not returning to Innova. And as people were sort of like, whoa, like what's going on? He basically confirmed on social media that Innova really wanted to keep him. They were trying to bid for him to keep him, and he did not stay. We have not heard where Jeremy Colling is going to end up. So Big Germ gone. Haley King not re-signing. Joel Freeman gone. Emerson Keith also gone. There are others as well. Emily Beach posted on social media that she was not returning to Innova. She didn't get an offer. She implied basically that she was not offered a contract and announced that she's leaving disc golf, the Pro Tour, I should say. And she's going to be playing regionally and not focusing on playing on the DGPT. So, we've already heard a couple of those stories starting to bubble up, and I think we're probably going to hear some more.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to be out there grinding unless you are like, you just don't care and you're like living on the road and you're happy to make no money.
Yeah. For these departures, except Jeremy Colling, you have to think, because it's not like the market for the other three is super high right now. So I would think that either it was Innova's choice not to have them come back, or there was some sort of a reduction in the sponsorship offer that made it so that those others didn't want to return to Team Innova. Big Germ, as he kind of hinted on social media, that Innova wanted to keep him. Makes sense. I would be shocked if Innova decided to just walk away from Big Germ before other players that might have been on the list. But those three, like Haley King is playing half tours and it seems more focused on streaming. And Emerson Keith hasn't really done anything, and Joel Freeman had a regression, and we know from like the fandom survey that Joel Freeman and Emerson Keith are two of the probably 5 most unpopular players on tour.
Yep.
So it's in a belt tightening economy. These don't seem to be the players' choices.
I think that's right, and I've heard as much in some of these situations that like some of those players wanted to return, and in some cases were simply not offered a contract. Even at it, there was a question: how about I take less? Nope, you're gone. So I mean, Innova, a bunch of the players on these, like on the star team, for instance, are on multi-year deals already, so they're coming back.
Yep.
But like new signings for this year, Bradley Williams, Greg Barsby, like these are new deals. Jen Allen, Jessica Weiss, Juliana Korver. I think Owen Scoggins was not on a multi-year, so I think she got re-signed, as well as Philo. But like I sort of wonder, like some of these older players, are they really getting the same thing as? We know they're not getting the same thing as a Calvin Heimberg.
No.
And so like I feel like some of these are cheaper than they like sort of appear. I mean, how could they not be?
Yeah, like
it wouldn't make any sense. I mean, Innova can be pretty loyal to like long-time people.
Yes.
So,
but but to your point, like, does Philo just get his Tour Series Destroyer and then just get the royalties from that, and then that's it, right? He's not touring.
Allotment of discs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
here's your discs.
Stipend.
We promise to print you X number of discs. You will get this much per disc. We'll sell. You sell. We'll send them to some retailers. Right there, you go. Like,
yep.
It doesn't cost them anything necessarily if they think that it moves some of those discs.
So pretty interesting. So let's speculate here. Jeremy Colling, where's he going to land? I have 2 ideas.
Okay. Let me give you my alternate idea first.
Okay.
I think Jeremy Colling does his own like merch thing. And like, because he redid his logo with like the Lionheart thing. I think he puts up a website. He has a lot of merch on his own, and he shifts to a primarily media role, including live on most weekends. And rather than take a new deal that would require him to play or try and sell plastic, he's just going to just have his own merch shop. And then he'll get, Jomez and the Pro Tour to
I don't buy this.
That's my speculation. But where do
Too risky.
Okay, so what are you
going to turn down guaranteed money from Innova to like do something by yourself? You'd have to really deeply believe in yourself to bet that big.
Sure.
Like, can you really make that much more doing merch versus selling Big Germ Thunderbirds?
Okay. What is?
I think he's going to land at a manufacturer, and maybe there's something interesting going on. I mean, I think the most obvious spot is Discraft. We know they went after Climo. So going after a Germ and like thinking about like older players with legacy and like presence, media presence in the case of Big Germ would make a ton of sense. And I don't think there's a ton of companies that are like ready to throw money around right now.
I don't either.
So who else is there? I think it may be MVP, but like
doesn't feel right.
This doesn't feel like a fit in my mind.
Well, you've got Simon and Eagle. Like, why are you spending more money on a guy who's barely touring? You've already got two of those.
I mean, maybe like you want. It is conceivable to me that it's like, well, we want somebody who's like a media presence because the other companies have that, right? Innova has that with Philo and Juliana, and Discraft has that with Yuli and Brody to an extent. And Sexton at Innova and like MVP's like, we need like a figurehead player as like someone that we sponsor.
Well,
and Simon is sort of that with social media, YouTube, but it's not the same as someone who's on DGN every week.
Boy, they sure need it to be the same at what they're paying those guys. You know which company has a glaring lack of literally any players right now?
Prodigy?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
So Ezra and Isaac, as I mentioned, announcing that they will be departing. Certainly not a surprise.
Yep.
Maybe, definitely a bigger surprise, and this happened since the last time we had a podcast.
Yep.
Kale Leviska gone from Prodigy. I mean, this dude has been like ride or die with Prodigy. And it makes you think, well, what about, is there something going on? Germ, Kale, Climo. You have to at least consider that there's like a bigger thing happening here that we don't know about yet, of course. Because Kale leaving Prodigy is shocking.
That wasn't that guy. I thought he was like had ownership stake.
He may still.
He may still, yeah.
But what it means, Josh, is that Prodigy's sponsored team that is like currently announced as of from last year, right? So that's 7 players on their core team. There are only 3 left.
Because
Luke Humphreys,
Aiden Scott has also announced that he is leaving.
Aiden Scott also announced he is leaving.
So, yes.
Luke Humphreys, Chantel Badinsky, Manabu Kajiyama. Those are the 3 players on the Prodigy top team as of now. But is there any world in which they're landing a big free agent? I would be shocked.
I don't know.
I think they look to do the thing that they've done historically, which is sign young players to first deals.
Yeah.
Because it's paid off for them.
It has
many
paid
times. I mean, look at the success they've had in the last. I mean, how many times have we had Is Prodigy dead discussion topics when they lost Chris Dickerson, Katrina, like, oh, Prodigy's dead. Prodigy, and then it's like, oh, they have Gannon Burr and Isaac Robinson. But now you're looking at the cupboard and it's like, is there promise here now?
Yeah, it's weird. They have nobody. They've got nobody right now.
Yeah.
And Luke Humphreys very clearly like seems to be transitioning to a media role. I mean, I'm sure he'll still play some, but you can't imagine he's going to be nearly as serious as playing if he's running this Go Throw tour.
I don't know. Like, it's all on off weekends.
I mean, I hear
Luke Humphreys has been like one of the more interesting kind of mid-tier guys on tour. Like he'll pop off on a weekend and almost win.
No. He doesn't pop off on a weekend. He pops off at Waco. He shows up. He almost win Waco, and then he doesn't do anything the rest of the season. Okay. And we're like, oh my gosh, right. Luke Humphrey's going to make the Pro Tour Championship. No, he's not.
No,
he's not.
That was tough to watch him slowly slide out of the. Yeah, that was tough.
Hasn't this happened 3 years in a row? Like, come on.
It does feel like that. So we may get an Ezra Robinson announcement today. Hey, it might even happen during this podcast. Wouldn't that be nice?
We're keeping an eye open.
We are refreshing the page. So elsewhere, I'll just do some quick hitter stuff, and then we'll get to the other big topics. Andrew Presnell and Ben Calloway both announced that they're returning to Discraft. Parker Welk announces that he's leaving DGA. Robert Burridge announces he is leaving Lone Star Discs. Somebody in the online somewhere made us like, well, I guess the van is going to have to drive itself now, which is a great joke for those in the Lone Star know. How about KJ USA back at Innova? I don't want to gloss over that. You like the move for both sides there?
I think so. Yeah, I think it feels like Kev needs to be on short-term deals to keep him motivated. Because that guy got a 4-year deal at Prodigy. And
got a big-ass deal, bought a house, and then was like, I'm good. I'm just going to stop playing good now.
He decided to take the Brandon Ayuk path after getting...
Not like this.
Not like this. Yeah. So no, good fit. I like it. Kev's just got too much talent to not have a sponsorship.
I feel like he's a total candidate for like bounce back player of the year.
He really is.
Like he showed some flashes once he made the switch to Innova, and you know how good he can be.
Yeah.
I do think it's a motivation and focus issue for him. I do. I don't think the talent is in question. We've seen it. We've seen him be a top 10 player on tour within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
The other big one, Josh, that's now a little while ago that this got announced, but we haven't had a show since then, which is Discraft announces a 3-year contract renewal with Anthony Barella. Yep. Makes complete sense.
I like... Discraft is known for kind of doing late releases of news. I like that they got this one ahead of all the drama. Like, get it done, announce it. We knew that this was going to be a priority of Discraft's. It made the most sense to keep Anthony Barella. We didn't think Anthony Barella would want to go anywhere. And like, good job. Just no announcements of announcements. They just came out and like 2 weeks before the hot stove season, they're like, listen, we got AB back.
Yep, he's back.
Great.
Great job. Got a new signature disc coming out, and they're getting set up to make their new signing announcements.
Yeah.
We've got whatever it is that's going on with Climo.
Uh-huh.
And perhaps some other news that might even come out as soon as today. We'll see. Let's see. I think that's it to this point. Although I have to refresh social media every few minutes.
While you're doing that, the Discraft thing, AB announced that he's getting a Cicada, which is like an FD, like a 7.5 -1.1, I think are the numbers on it. So just like your straight mid-range kind of disc or fairway disc, and that they're tooling the Cicada to Anthony Barella's arm speed, and I'm like, I want to know, is it actually a Cicada or is he just throwing a brick now? Like, I just don't buy it. I don't buy that a Cicada with his arm speed is comparable numbers. But that's what they say. Allegedly.
Yeah. I mean, going to be ultra stable. So,
yeah,
maybe for forehand throwers, obviously for pros, it's going to probably be a great disc. I have a topic for after the break. Which is to circle back to some of the fandom stuff, because the disc article got released and we have all of the info about top discs. And I want to look at the most popular discs in every speed slot because I think it's pretty interesting, and a couple of other things on that. So, Josh, you want to throw out your guesses for where players land? The big ones left are obviously Isaac and Ezra. And then you've got Haley, Germ, to an extent Kale, I guess. I mean, Germ sort of falls in the same boat. It's like it'll be interesting to see where, but like, does it really matter?
It'll be interesting to see like what?
Like what is the
what more than
what
where
pushed him out of Innova after like all the years there?
Yeah, what's the opportunity? Because it ain't just it's not unless someone's just like giving him a bag and he's like, yeah, I'm going back on tour full time. Like,
no, he knows his touring time is basically done.
It should be, yes.
As like a competitive player.
Yes, exactly. So it is more what rather than where that interests me.
All right.
But
so you got any speculation?
Yeah, the rumor mill churns. It sounds Ezra Robinson at Discraft is my guess. I've been seeing it on socials.
That's certainly been the rumor for a couple of weeks now.
That's what the rumor mill is. I don't think it's gonna be.
They're trolling hard on social media. Both those guys.
I'm sure.
It's like they're like wearing different brands. They're like posting in the comments.
Oh, give me. Don't think it's MVP. I don't think it's Innova. I don't think it's Discraft. Can I just say House of Discs? Is that allowed?
Good guess. I don't think it's going that far out on a limb. I think the big question for me is like, does he go to Discmania along with Gannon? Or does he go to Latitude? Basically, is the only other real option.
Unlikely to be
I
DD.
do think my sense is Ezra and Isaac are going to want to go to different companies.
Mm.
And I also sort of think that Isaac doesn't want to follow Gannon. If I had to guess.
Fair.
I just like, you don't want to be little brothered, right?
It's too bad because I think Isaac gets a boost from his affiliation with Gannon.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
And I don't know if that's a Prodigy thing or an Isaac thing, but I just don't think Isaac has been well marketed to this point.
Well, but that isn't that on Prodigy?
It's got to be in part. Maybe mostly, maybe all, maybe fully. I don't know. But back to the Ezra point, right? Like the Ezra thing is definitely on Prodigy because the first time I ever heard Ezra in an interview, I was like, dang, this guy's get this guy in front of a mic more often. What are you doing? So, maybe we'll have the same sense from Isaac, but we'll see. I'm
steeling myself for some kind of craziness. I'm getting Spidey sense of that just in general. But then Drew Gibson, who's now just going to be a media guy, which in some ways he already has been, so it like fits. So Drew Gibson tweets on January 1st, which is yesterday, the world of disc golf is about to be flipped upside down here soon. And then in the comments said, nobody will have expected this. So Drew's hearing something. What surprises are in store for us?
Diss Track 2.0.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking the most popular discs and getting into some of the details on what's in people's bags. Stay with us. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. Lifetime guarantee on all the Pound bags. I rock a Rufus. I recommend you do the same. Check out a couple of new colorways of the double convertible Rufus. Kick off the new year. They've got the Bordeaux and Coyote, beautiful kind of Western style bag. They also have a couple of other new options, a blue and an orange, a light blue and a dark blue. So some awesome options over at pounddiscgolf.com. If you like a bigger bag, you can still grab yourself an Octothorpe or an Octahall as well. And Josh mentioned it earlier, Vagabond. He's a big fan. Gotta wait for the restock though. We'll let you know when it comes. We know you love spending your free time out on the course, enjoying the great outdoors. But have you ever thought about what would happen if an unexpected injury or disability puts your disc golf dreams on hold? Life can be unpredictable, but your financial security doesn't have to be. Imagine this. You're lining up for that big drive, the wind is just right, and you can taste victory. But then, a tee pad slip and an accident happens. An injury occurs that leaves you unable to work, let alone enjoy your favorite pastime. Well, it's way more likely that an illness disrupts your income, but either way, you are your family's biggest asset, and Friendly Insurance Dad wants to help you protect your loved ones. Signing up for term life and disability insurance is as easy as it's ever been. Just visit friendlyinsurancedad.com. Protect your future on and off the course with family benefits. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Secure it with insurance. It's more stable than your Sexton Firebird. Welcome back to the Upshot. While we were in the break, there was no more sponsorship news. Sorry. So I'm sure by the time this comes out, something will be out, but we'll have to catch up with you on Tuesday next week. So I wanted to take a look at the latest fandom survey data all about discs and the popularity of discs and brands. Very interesting stuff. Maybe my favorite article in the series so far. You can check out the whole thing at discgolf.ultiworld.com. But I wanted to throw a couple charts up here on the YouTube and talk about them. If you don't follow us and subscribe on YouTube, today's a great day to do that. So let's begin. I want to start with what is your favorite disc? And when we talked to Josiah and Jesse last week, we talked about this a bit, Josh, but we have the top 10 here. Buzz out in front as the number one most favorited disc among respondents, over almost 200 people picking it as their favorite, which kind of puts into context how wide the spread is for people's favorite disc.
Mm-hmm.
Like 200 respondents out of a survey of like 7,000 people really isn't that many.
Yeah, that is true.
But still, it stands alone, and it's in front of the zone by almost 50 votes. So like pretty substantially in front of the zone. And then you have Wraith, Destroyer, Hex, Crave, Envy, Firebird, Rock, T-Bird. So what do we see here? People don't really like putters unless they're like specialty. Like Envy is not really a putter, right? I mean, it sort of is, but it plays more like a mid.
It's a throwing putter, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the spot that people might like. I think a lot of people when they pick their favorite disc, right? It's a feeling of like one of two things is really what goes through my head, right? Number one is like, what is your go-to disc when you, even if like the distance isn't quite right, like if you have to execute a shot and even if it takes multiple shots, in the case of like an Envy, it's in a longer hole. Like if you had to execute a shot, what disc are you just going to trust, rely on, know is going to achieve it? And for a lot of people, it's a Buzz. For a lot of people, it's a Zone. But it makes sense why throwing putters might be on that list. Like a lot of those make sense to me. The other one, though, and the other flip side, and this is where I think that like Destroyer and Wraith come into play, is like, what is the disc you feel like you can't replace, right? What can you not find another copy of?
Yep.
Because listen, I throw Buzzes and I think they're great. Could I find another neutral mid that probably would work just as well? Yeah, I'm sure I could eventually. If I tried enough of them out, I'm sure I would find one that I would be happy with. I've tried a lot of 11-speed drivers, and like nothing flies like a Wraith, man. Like those, I think they are incredible. It's not my favorite disc, but like I just will never move away from Wraiths. And there's so many like stabilities on my Wraiths.
You have many flavors.
Yeah, so many flavors of Wraiths, and I don't have to change like the feel of the disc in my hand. Like
totally,
that's big deal. So those are kind of the two themes that I see here in why people would pick them as their favorite discs.
What a come up though for MVP Axiom, right? To have 3 discs on this chart. Yeah. And like completely blanking any of the House of Discs brands.
Well, Charlie, you said at the beginning of the season one of your predictions was that MVP becomes one of the the big 3 players. How can you not think that at this point?
Maybe they already are.
Yeah, look at this chart. Look at this chart, right?
Yeah.
There are 3 companies. There's Discraft, there's Innova, Expected, and then there's MVP. Yep. There it is.
The Hex is almost as popular as the Destroyer, as the people's most favorite disc. Wow.
It's the reason when we did this show with Jesse and Josiah, I actually didn't think the Buzz would still be number 1. Is because of how popular the Hex has become in such a short period of time. I figured it'd cut enough into the Buzz's margins.
People love a like mostly straight, slightly stable mid. And
Yep,
I get it.
yep.
Like it's a super controllable disc from basically people from beginner to expert.
Yep.
Okay, let's take a look at this chart. This is great. Every speed slot, the three most popular discs in every speed slot. And I put this in our Ulti-World Disc Golf Discord for subscribers. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug it. discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe to get into the Discord. If you just had the disc, the favorite disc, the most popular disc in every speed slot, not that anybody needs every speed slot in their bag, to be clear, but if you did, that was your bag. You had 14 discs. This is a pretty good bag.
It's not a bad bag.
Okay,
at
I'll
all.
run through it. Starting 1 to 14. Castoplast Berg.
That's all
Innova
you need
AVR.
right there.
Huh? Yeah,
That's all you need is the Berg. Yeah, one disc. Stop there.
Innova AVR, Axiom Envy, Discraft Zone, Discraft Buzz, Axiom Crave, Innova T-Bird. Nobody has been able to beat the T-Bird in the 7-speed slot. Like, when will a company beat the T-Bird? Maybe never. Discraft Passion, Innova Firebird, Discmania PD, Innova Wraith, Innova Destroyer, Innova Shrike, and Latitude 64 Ballista Pro. So that is a pretty sweet bag. Like,
It's not a bad bag.
like that's like the crowdsourced bag. And if you were just a brand new player and you're like, I'm gonna make this bag, like you'd have to grow into some of those discs, you know.
The Ballista Pro.
Yeah. I mean, I know people though who Ballista Pro is their go-to driver.
Crazy.
I
can't get my hand around that.
It's a little much, but you know, like otherwise, like that's pretty sweet, and you get like good stability mix in that
You
set
do.
of discs too.
You do. If you had
Like
to,
a Passion is an 8 and a Firebird is a 9. Like that's like they're basically the same speed, more or less, but very different stabilities.
Yep. If you expanded it and you were able, you know, if you're looking at this on the YouTube, if you're not on the YouTube right now, we're going to show a couple more charts. Take a pause, just jump over to the YouTube real fast. Like these charts are really interesting. If you were able to expand and just pick one disc from each slot, like each speed on this list, you have things like the Latitude 64 Diamond, which
Sure.
only comes in like sub 160 weights and is a -3.1. Very understable, right? Like you really do have the entire range if you expand this out just a little bit. The thing that I think, and this was I think a discussion I was kind of seeing over the holidays in the Discord, and is a small limitation of this chart a little bit in my opinion, is that most people are like, I would be interested to see the PD go against the Firebird, because while they
Sure.
may slot in different speeds,
Exactly.
they're the same disc, right?
Right,
In terms
right.
of why people bag them. So I
The
wanna
marginal
know,
difference in speed is not
right?
defining the disc.
No, it's not. And so I would like to see, you know, those go against each other. The Passion and the FD and the T-Bird, like group those all together. Like, what are people prioritizing for that kind of like more neutral to slightly stable fairway slot? Or and the Crave can be in there as well, right? So the speed is interesting. I would like to know how some of these go up against each other in driver, you know, overstable, control driver, fairway, etc.
Sure. But I guess my point is like this, if you're brand new to disc golf, and you're like, I don't know what to get, just like literally throwing darts at this chart and like picking, you know, obviously you need to know a little bit because you maybe don't want to putt with a Berg, but
it's got the AVR.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like you
Yeah.
need to know a little bit about like, okay, what's a putter versus
Sure.
what's like a throwing putter
Approach. Yeah.
or approach disc. But like if you just literally spammed this chart and like bought these discs, you'd have a great bag. Like you're
Yeah.
really getting good stuff. And I think it's like also sort of good for companies to see this data and be like, where are we strong and weak?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Innova's killing the
look,
driver.
killing it.
Yeah.
Like, but like Innova's mid-range game is not great.
No.
Like they have good putters and they have good drivers. And then like Discraft's mid-ranges are like generally considered the best.
No. They have a good putter and then good drivers.
Well, I mean, they have a lot of flavor of that putter, I guess I should say.
Sure.
All right. So then how about this one? Which of these manufacturers' discs have you purchased in the past year? Innova coming in at number 1, it's over 70%.
That is crazy.
With Discraft in second at 59%, MVP at 56%, Latitude at 43%, Axiom at 42.8%, and Discmania at 41.6%. And that chunk at the top is by far out in front. Then you have DD, Cat Splash, Prodigy, Westside, Streamline, and down the board. But how about Innova? I mean, it goes to show you that just like the breadth of their lineup and the popularity of certain slots for some of their discs just means that they're going to continue to have a huge chunk of market share, even if it feels like, oh, Innova's like losing players and they're not, it doesn't matter because they've been around so long and they have so many options, even within the same disc in terms of this run versus that run. It's like you can kind of just find what you want if you're motivated to do so.
Yep. And like, I know people who bag 1 to 2 manufacturers who, for all their discs, except they carry a Wraith or a Destroyer.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, no one has really been able to unseat the Destroyer.
No.
As the great driver for pros, right? Nope. Like, I think if most pros had a choice, they would throw Destroyers.
Probably.
And that's what you see open bag players do mostly.
Yes. Yes. And for those who are like I'm MA1, like the Wraith, there's no driver that I've ever thrown that comes anywhere close to it. And I've thrown a lot of drivers. And it's a baby Destroyer. It's great. It's great.
It's great. I throw it too. It's great.
It's a great disc. And I have 3 in my bag, and none of, like, you wouldn't even know that they're the same disc if you just watched Flight Path.
Right.
Love it.
All right, last one. Arguably the most interesting. Which of the following players have you purchased a tour, signature, or commemorative disc from in the past year? Okay. Number 1, Simon Lizotte. 38.4% of people responding to this had bought a Simon disc in the past year. That is wild. I mean, talk about like MVP just simply did the obvious thing. Let's sign the most popular player and make Frisbees that he markets. It's paying off.
Yeah.
Number 2, Kristen Lott, formerly Tatar, 29.9%. What a force she's been. By far the biggest market mover for FPO.
Mm-hmm.
Then Macbeth, Heimberg, McMahon, Wysocki, a good chunk further behind that. Paige Pierce, James Conrad, Nate Sexton, Paul Ulibarri, Missy Gannon, Anthony Barella down at 8.6%. Brody Smith, Owen Scoggins. And how about this? This is really, really insane and wild to me. First of all, I mean, look, let's just put it this way. Gannon Burr is at 6%. Keep in mind, when this survey happened, he'd been at Discmania for what, 7 months, 8 months?
Mm-hmm.
Then Greg Barsby at 5.7%. And then Isaac Robinson at 5.6%.
Yeah.
So like that is just straight up Prodigy failing.
Yes.
It is.
Yep.
Like if Greg Barsby is outselling the back-to-back world champion, you are doing it wrong. I don't know what to tell you.
Yep. Yeah. I think, yeah, it's, oh man, it's so bad. It's how Prodigy has to look at this and go, oh my gosh, like
it's wild. But Gannon at 6.
So
only 6.
Here's my thing with Gannon that I was, because I saw this and I was kind of a little bit surprised as well. Discmania just slapped a lot of like Gannon's name on stock discs after he won events and put him out. He's now getting
Glacier
real like Tour Series his line, right? The
you saw his Glacier disc, right?
The bird or the
they did it.
Iceberg or whatever. The
Didn't
Glacier,
we say Glacier should be his disc?
Like, we did.
Not that we're like, not that it's not obvious,
right?
But they just straight up did it.
Yep.
And like that's going to be a popular disc.
That's going to be a popular disc. And so that and his putter, when they start coming out with the runs of the putter. Like I think he's going to move up this list. But here's what's interesting, right? James Conrad is at 15% still, right? He's in top 10. It's because MVP makes a new mold that's going to be wildly popular with people, and then they stick James Conrad's face on it.
Totally.
And add it, and like, I don't know what it would have done without it, but you put James Conrad on the trail, a neutral, controllable 10-speed, and people went crazy. They loved it. That's the moral of the story.
100%. I am surprised that more companies haven't done this with more of their most marketable pros. Like, make them a disc lineup of their signature mold. Like, Macbeth is still sitting at almost 30%. He's number 3 on this list, and it's not because he had a monster year.
Yep.
It's because he's got a bunch of discs that are popular, that are like associated with him.
And to Greg Barsby's credit, Innova does this. Greg Barsby's inseparable from the Eagle. Nate Sexton is inseparable from the Firebird.
Right.
That's why their names are still up there,
Absolutely.
even though they're not. Like Jeremy Colling had more sales than Gannon Burr.
Absolutely.
Thunderbird, synonymous.
Yuli is at 10%, and that's
Zone.
Captain's Raptor, right?
Yes, Cap Raptors, those two. Yes. It's so easy for me to just like these top pros to just tell you exactly what disc is associated with them, and you can see when the fall off happens. Kyle Klein, no idea. Vanguard, I think. But it's just not the same. It's at the top. They just do a better job of it. Honestly, you know what I'm truly impressed by is that Calvin is as high as he is. I think they put his name on a Destroyer and then a Toro, which is like a Zone copy. But still, that's not like, I think Calvin is kind of is stands out to me compared to some of the others, right? Simon, obviously, Kristen and the Grace, and her popularity. Eagle got the new Envy. Ricky has an entire line. Paige has the Passion and the Fierce, and right. But Calvin's up there, and I think that goes to show how popular he is, despite Innova really not doing a Calvin line the same way some of these other people get.
Yep. And like, there's pros and cons to doing that. Like, I'm pretty sure Discraft like owns the IP for a lot of the like Macbeth stuff that's coming out. I forget that there was some discussion about that when the deal was done. But like, if you over associate certain discs with a person, then you have to like change everything when they leave. So like, Firebird is a disc that is Innova's. Like, yes, they make a Nate Sexton Firebird, but like, if Nate Sexton were to ever leave, and I don't think that he will, but anything is possible these days,
right?
They're still going to make Firebirds, and they're still going to sell them.
Well, that's the stability of a 10-year deal, right? Simon, Paul, both of them on 10-year deals. So what's the, there's no risk. Go for it.
Super interesting.
Here's something I want to point out that I think is interesting. So MVP Axiom, I wish I would have asked Josiah and Jesse before the show what the true percentage, because I'm assuming like 80% of this is overlap, but I can't be sure. So MVP had 56.2% of people who purchased a disc in the past year. Axiom 42.8%. I can give them 60
over
maybe?
100% of people, but
no, that's not how it works. Like maybe 60, so maybe they're tied with Discraft. People who bought just
like, if
Axiom,
you comboed
MVP?
them into one category, what's the total percentage of people who bought MVP or Axiom? Yeah, no, I think it's a fair point.
So let's pretend like between 60 and 70, Simon makes up more than half of that.
Yeah, I guess like by definition, if you bought a Simon disc, you bought an MVP and Axiom disc.
Yes.
So, yeah, wow.
Simon, more than half the people that bought and again, speculation, I don't know the true number, but more than half the people that bought an MVP or an Axiom disc bought a Simon disc. That is crazy. It was so much power.
It was a bold move taken at the right time that seems to continue to be paying off even through recession-y times.
Yeah.
And that is very interesting.
Listen, I'm still interested to see the years 5 through 10, right?
Sure.
The power of this deal like, and typically these deals, now Macbeth has proven that that's not necessarily the case, but it seems that the deals, the further you get removed from that movement, the more you have to do, and the better and more successful the beginning had to be. So the real test is going to come, but maybe by year 5 they've already made enough to pay off the deal.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hey, by the way, this isn't exactly in this sort of like mainstream line of sponsorship discussion, but Eagle and Simon leaving grip bags.
Oh yeah, good.
And of course, a lot of people are expecting that MVP is going to make some more moves on the bag side, because it is noted by a now formerly sponsored player of MVP that Team MVP players are required to use MVP bags starting this year.
Okay.
So do you think that they make a bigger move with bags? Like, you think they're going to try to innovate, or is this just like, we want to push the lineup that we have?
Maybe. And MVP and Prodigy are the two companies that like really go hard in the bag game as well. Like, I know Latitude has a bag and Innova has a bag, but like most of your top pros on those teams, of like House of Discs and Innova and Discraft, are all carrying, most of them are carrying grip or pound, honestly, is what most of the pros carry, except for if you're on Team Prodigy or Team MVP. I hope that Team MVP innovates, because I feel bad for Simon and Eagle if they carry one of those MVP bags. My wife has one because it's a watermelon, and it's got the green edges with the pink center, and she loves it because it looks great. But that bag is the most uncomfortable thing I've ever worn. So for Simon and Eagle's sake, I sure hope they do. But once you get a pound bag, there's you just can't go back.
It is well established. I mean, I can't even tell you. It's so nice.
It's like, I have friends who carry grip bags. Like, they are unwearable to me. Unwearable. They're terrible. I like, if I didn't have a pound
unwearable
bag, I don't know what I would do. Yeah, pound. It's pound or bust.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for today's show. I am sure we will have more to discuss next week, and we've got some fun interviews coming up as well. I'm really looking forward to some of the stuff we got coming up. I don't know when our State of the Industry Roundtable show is going to be. People are kind of coming back into work, and I didn't want to
playing around the news cycle.
Holidays. Yes. So at some point before the tour starts, probably within the next couple of weeks, we will have our State of the Industry Roundtable and kind of see what people are feeling as we enter 2025. I'm sure there's a lot of trepidation, but also, this is the time to make a splashy move. Doing it a year ago was the wrong time. So interesting stuff ahead. So for Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday right here on the Upshot.